Good morning. We're on the record. Today's date is January 10th, 2024. The time is 9:03 a.m. My name is Albert Myman, videographer, here with Eleanor Mitchell, your court reporter. This is a video recorded Zoom remote deposition of Undersheriff Ror Lakewold in the matter of James Lady versus Sheriff Daryl Wheeler et al., filed in the United States District Court, District of Idaho. Case number 2:2-CV-00063-DCN. This deposition is noticed by counsel for plaintiff. Will counsel please identify yourselves, after which the witness will be sworn in and we will proceed.
Good morning. Braden Pence here for plaintiff Jim Lee.
Good morning. Heather Yapley here for all defendants.
Sir, would you raise your right hand to be sworn? Do you swear that you are Ror Lakewold and that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Good morning. Just to get something briefly out of the way, are we pronouncing your name correctly, that it's Lakewold?
Yes, correct.
Okay. So would you please state and spell your name for the record?
Ror Lakewold, Lakewold.
And what is your current rank, Mr. Lakewold?
Undersheriff.
Do you prefer to be addressed as Undersheriff or Mr., or is there another rank that would be a respectful way to address you?
I'm comfortable with even Ror or Lakewold, Mr. Lakewold, or whatever you're comfortable with, I will graciously accept.
Okie doke. So, Mr. Lakewold, you understand you're under oath, correct?
Yes, I do.
And you understand that you must tell the truth, correct?
Absolutely.
And the whole truth, right?
Of course.
And nothing but the truth.
Absolutely.
Okay. And you're going to do that today, correct?
Yes, I am.
You understand the testimony you give here today is just like you're giving it in court. Is that right?
Yes, I do.
And it's just as important as testimony in court. It's almost like you're testifying in front of the judge and the jury. Do you understand that?
I see no difference between the two.
And you understand that the judge and jury may see and hear the testimony that you give today at trial. Do you understand that?
Yes.
If I ever ask you a question that you don't understand, please let me know, okay?
Certainly.
If you answer a question, I assume, and it means essentially that you did understand it. Is that fair? Is that fair?
Yes.
If you ever want to take back an answer you've given or change it or add to it or in any way modify it, you let me know, will you please?
Certainly.
And I'll let you do that, okay?
Okay.
For example, if you answer that there's several people at a meeting and later in the day you remember that there were actually only 2 people in the meeting, you can let me know that and I'll let you change your answer, okay?
Okay.
This way we can get truthful, complete, and accurate testimony today, okay?
Yes.
You understand the court reporter is writing down everything that we say?
Yes.
And you understand that the court reporter will create a transcript of your testimony today?
Yes.
You will have the ability to read that transcript and to make any corrections to that transcript. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do.
If you do make changes, though, I will be allowed to let the jury and the judge know about that you changed the testimony. Do you understand that?
Yes.
And that is another reason why it's important to give truthful, complete, and accurate testimony today. Okay?
Correct.
We will take breaks about once an hour. Does that sound like a good schedule for you?
Sure.
If you need to take a break sooner than that, please let me know.
Okay.
And I will let you take a break, okay?
Perfect.
Do you understand? Is there any reason, medical or otherwise, why you will not be able to give your best and most accurate testimony today?
No.
If that ever changes during the course of the deposition, you let me know immediately, okay?
Certainly.
Where are you currently located?
4001 North Boyer Avenue, Sandpoint, Idaho, in my assigned office within the sheriff's office building.
Is anyone else in the room with you?
No.
Do you have any documents in front of you?
Nothing related to this. I have my standard work. I have schedules and pay grades and a notebook beside my computer with phone numbers, etc. None of it has any relation to this situation. It's just regular work stuff.
It may be that during the course of this deposition, I'll present you with documents to review. When you're testifying from what you're reading off a document, as opposed to from your memory, it's important for you to say, I remember this independently versus I remember this from reading the document versus I'm reading it from the document, but I have no memory of it at all. Does that make sense? I want you to articulate where it is you're testifying from, okay?
Yep, yes, I understand.
And the same goes for if we're talking about a conversation that you had. If you say, I remember this and know this independently versus someone told me this, it's important for you to make that distinction today.
Yes,
does that make sense?
Yes, I understand.
All right. A little bit of background about you, sir. Where did you grow up?
Mainly Coeur d'Alene, Idaho.
You please give me a brief description of your educational background.
High school graduation, some college, North Idaho College, and then my law enforcement training from Post Academy and almost a week shy of 32 years of ongoing police type training.
Okay, so do I understand correctly that you did not get a degree during college, but you had some college classes?
Correct.
Regarding your professional experience prior to coming to the Bonner County Sheriff's Office, would you please describe your professional experience?
Prior to the Bonner County Sheriff's Office, I worked several jobs. However, the most long-term job prior to Bonner County was, I worked for the Watson Agency Security Company, and I left there as the director of operations when I came to work here in January of 1992.
How many years were you in private, in the private sector prior to coming to the Bonner County Sheriff's Office?
I'm going to count on my fingers. 6 years at Watson Agency. I worked privately for the owner of the company prior to those 6 years.
Any law enforcement experience and again in the public sector, working for a police department or sheriff's agency, or any law enforcement experience prior to the Bonner County Sheriff's Office?
No. However, in 1990, I think it was 7. I'm going on my recollection, but I believe in 1997, for about 6 months, I went to the Ponderay Police Department here in Bonner County, and then returned to Bonner County Sheriff's Office after about 6 months. It might, give or take, it might have been 7 or 8 or 5, right in that spectrum somewhere.
What was the reason for that transition?
Pay and benefits is why I left. Working conditions, it's why I came back.
Apologize for speaking over you there. I understood you to have said that the reason you left was for better pay and benefits, and the reason you came back was because of better working conditions?
Correct.
to briefly address the time you spent at the Ponderay Police Department. That was in 1997. That's prior to social media, as far as I understand it. Did you have any part of your job when you were there dealing with social media type stuff?
None whatsoever.
What were you doing when you were working for Ponderay?
A patrol officer.
You briefly touched on your law enforcement training. It sounds like you worked, or you went through the POST program, which is a police officer standard training. Is that right?
Correct.
And that's the state academy, essentially.
Yes.
Since then, have you been at ongoing training through the Bonner County Sheriff's Office?
Yes.
And a 32-year career, sir. I hope that you have a good retirement exit strategy in mind. What is your what are your ambitions for that, if you don't mind my asking?
Uh, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. The financial picture may require some additional work to afford the lifestyle that I've become accustomed to, but I do, from a hobby standpoint, I do auto body and paint on the side and restore and, well, occasionally restore and flip cars, boats, etc. And so my ongoing ambitions after retirement will be to supplement some doing that. I find joy in working in my shop and working on things. So that is my plan once when I retire.
Do you have a retirement date?
I do not.
Well, I wish for you in all good faith that you get a retirement date and that comes quickly, because that's everyone's goal as far as I can tell, at least in my opinion. Should be.
I enjoy my job, but if they stop paying me, I'm going to stop coming. And so, yes, at some point, I look forward to retirement. And I don't know when that is. I know that it's certainly not 10 years down the road. Probably not over 5 years down the road.
So as of today, which is January 10th, 2024, what is your I guess I know the answer to this. You are the undersheriff for the Bonner County Sheriff's Office. Would
Yes.
you please give us a sentence or two discussing what your duties and responsibilities are within that position?
Certainly. Basically, it's the full overview of all the operations within the purview of the sheriff's office, to include, jail detectives, patrol, 911, support staff, etc. I have budgeting oversight on all of those divisions, and so my day will consist of looking at how operations are going, how staffing's going, how our budget's tracking. We'll approve budgetary expenditures. I will review things that get to my level regarding complaints or misconduct, and basically anything else that comes up as a result of any of that.
It sounds like a fairly comprehensive portfolio of issues and responsibilities. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Is there anything that would fall outside of the purview of something that may or may not be elevated to your level within the organization, but subject matter wise, is there anything that's kind of outside of your portfolio of responsibilities?
The only thing that I'm not responsible 4 is well, no, anything within the sheriff's office and at the direction of the sheriff, anything within the sheriff's office is my responsibility. That's essentially all of it.
Would that include public records issues?
At the end of the line, yes. I certainly don't have daily hands-on oversight of it, but yes, the responsibility will eventually be on my shoulders. Yes.
And what about policy development? Is that something that, yeah, is there like an approval process that once a policy is developed or there are issues with policies and changes, would that ultimately be approved by somebody at the undersheriff or sheriff level?
Ultimately, the sheriff, yes, but it'll go through me prior to getting to the sheriff. But yes, on policy issues, the sheriff will have final say on all additions to or alterations, etc.
Is that also true of like required trainings that are part of the internal BCSO? And again, using that acronym obviously to refer to the Bonner County Sheriff's Office, the internal trainings that are required for officers?
Yeah, so we have there's two, and apologize for, I'll expound just a touch. So the Idaho Police Officer Standard Training Post, they have required annual training. Actually, I could be wrong. I'm going on memory. They have required training that's either annually or every 2 years to include EVOC, which is emergency vehicle operation, ARCON, which is arrest control techniques, and there might be something else. There's a requirement of 40 hours every 2 years that's required by post to maintain certification. Ultimately, yes, the responsibility, I don't deal with it individually, but the responsibility would then, yes, fall on me. Then internally, we have firearms qualifications. We have a higher standard of arrest control training. We have our own emergency vehicle operation training, and then a plethora of other trainings to include taser and less lethal and yeah, just searching offhand, but the additional training. And then there's job specific training. So a canine handler will have additional canine handling training and certification responsibilities. Yeah, I guess you can answer or ask questions from there. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. Within the chain of command, Sheriff Wheeler is the top officer within the department. Is that right?
Yes.
And you are the undersheriff. Would you be the next in line below him?
Yes.
Are there any other undersheriffs besides yourself?
No.
And have there been any other undersheriffs since 2020?
Since 2020, no.
And then where does Mr. VanGesen fall within the chain of command?
Currently, he is a lieutenant assigned to the professional standards, or he's a professional standards lieutenant is his current assignment.
How many other lieutenants are there within the department, or the office, excuse me?
We have a patrol lieutenant, we have a Marine lieutenant, which is actually a part-time lieutenant position, and we have a jail lieutenant. And I think that's it.
And has that been the organizational structure since at least 2020?
Yes. VanGesen hasn't held that position since 2020, but that's been the same organizational structure.
The number of and general responsibilities of the lieutenants.
Yes.
You mentioned complaints, that if a complaint regarding a BCSO officer were to reach a certain level, you'd become aware of it. On that topic, generally speaking, that raises for me a sort of another topic. I'm curious about if you tell me a little bit about what sort of, if you can characterize it generally, what sort of support the Bonner County Sheriff's Office enjoys within the community.
You're talking about
Broad
complaints.
question.
I'm sorry, maybe I'm misunderstanding, but you're talking about complaints and you're talking about our relationship with the community. Can you please clarify what more?
Yeah, it occurred to me when you brought up the issue of complaints that a sort of a different issue of how much support, just in terms of like honk and wave, thumbs up, Blue Lives Matter, thin blue line flags in the community. Like, how much support do you perceive within the community is there for your office?
Object to the form.
My personal opinion of how we're perceived in the community is very good. I feel like we have a great deal of support within this community. And I feel like there's ongoing reflection of that through feedback that I hear, feedback that our deputies hear, feedback that the sheriff hears. So I feel like, especially in the state of the country, we're very blessed to have the support that we have in this community.
Thank you for bearing with me for just a moment. Trying not to ask unnecessary questions if I don't have to.
Not a problem.
All right. Before we go on to the Bonner County Sheriff's Office social media generally, I want to ask you a few questions about your personal background with respect to social media. So, do you use social media presently in your personal life?
On a limited basis, yes.
Okay. What platforms do you use on a limited basis?
My wife has a Facebook account that has my name included with her name on the Facebook account. While I say it's my wife's, it's every bit as much mine. I however, don't post. I look at it occasionally more so from the marketplace standpoint, from a news standpoint, occasionally peruse other stuff. She's the one that primarily posts, manages, and otherwise. I don't believe we have, well, I don't have any other social media account or access to another social media account.
To your knowledge, does your wife use any other social media besides Facebook?
I think that recently she, I'm reaching out. I don't even know what some of this stuff is called, but I know she's not on Twitter. There's an attachment to Facebook, but I'm not asking the question, so I'll say there might be, but I don't know what it would be.
Have you ever blocked anyone on Facebook using that your family account?
Have I personally?
Yeah.
No.
To your knowledge, has your wife done that?
Yes.
And have you discussed that with her?
Yes.
Have you personally hidden any comments that were posted to that personal account?
No.
To your knowledge, has your wife done that?
I don't know.
Have you personally participated in blocking anyone on the Bonner County Sheriff's Office Facebook account?
No.
Have you personally participated in hiding any comments that were posted to the Bonner County Sheriff's Facebook account?
I don't recall.
We'll ask a few more questions about that in a bit. Do you know anything about the moderator assist function on Facebook from personal experience, either with your family's account or through the Bonner County account?
No.
Do you know anything about or have any personal experience regarding filters being used with respect to posting on either the personal account or the county account?
No.
Do you know personally whether blocking someone on a Facebook account will result in all of the person's comments being hidden?
I do.
You do.
Yes.
How do you know that? What's your basis for knowing that?
From my wife's or my personal Facebook, I'm familiar that yes, if a person is blocked, either if you've been blocked by someone else or if you block somebody, that basically puts them into a category where neither can see. And I could be not talking eloquently about how that works, but neither one of you can see what the other one has.
Okay. So you can't see each other's accounts, but I guess what I'm specifically, let me come back to this.
Certainly.
Let me come back to this topic. Do you have any tech background, any computer programming or anything like that?
None whatsoever.
Have you had any training on how the Facebook platform works?
No.
Have you done any personal research regarding how the Facebook platform works?
No.
Have you talked to anybody regarding how the Facebook platform works, except for your attorney?
Outside of my household, just Facebook conversation, no.
Okay. So besides speaking with your wife regarding this, the issue we just discussed, you haven't spoken with anybody else in the Bonner County Sheriff's Office regarding that, how that platform works?
Not a platform, no.
I'm going to just, Mr. Pence, I just don't know my clients. You're obviously stepping very carefully around the marriage privilege, but I just don't know that my client actually knows that it exists. So I just want to alert him to the fact that there is a privilege and that he should not disclose anything between him and his wife. So just so that he knows in case you do ask a question and he wants to offer that information.
Thank you.
So I don't recall what the last answer was or whether it was, my last question was answered. So can I ask the court reporter to just address the last question and the answer, if there was one?
My apologies. Sorry.
One moment. Question. Okay, so besides speaking to your wife regarding this, the issue we just discussed, You haven't spoken with anybody else in the Bonner County Sheriff's Office about how that platform works. And there was no answer.
So I'm going to re-ask that same question. Other than the conversation with your wife, are there any other conversations you've had with other folks regarding how the platform works?
No.
So next, I'd like to address some terms and make sure that we're working from the same sheet of music when it comes to what some of these modern technological social media terms are, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so when we're talking about the Bonner County Sheriff's Office Facebook account, or do you know what that means?
Yes.
Is there just one such account, to your knowledge?
No.
How many Facebook accounts are there?
There's 2 that exist to my knowledge. I don't know if one still exists. There's only one that we have access to or ever use. There's one, I believe, that I've seen one that has been in existence out in the world, but nobody seems to know how to access it or who started it or how it even became.
So let's come up with a handle that'll work for distinguishing between those two. As to the first one, the one that your office has access to and uses on a regular basis, let's call that should we call that the official account?
Certainly that'll be fine.
And the other one, the sort of mystery one, let's call that the ghost account, just to keep it separate. Does that sound good?
Certainly.
When did you first become aware of the ghost account?
I don't recall how many years ago, but quite a few years ago, like roughly around the same time that the other one started, but I couldn't even guess. Quite a few years ago.
Okay, I'm going to make a request to you to provide a web address to that. If you can during a break, and if not, contact your attorney and will you please provide that web address if you can. And if you can't, just let us know that you couldn't find it or whatever, but I'm making a request for that.
For the ghost account?
Yes, the web address where I could take a look at that.
I will see if it's findable. I haven't seen it in years, but I will search, and if it's findable, I will send a link to Ms. Yakeley.
Thank you. So did you form an opinion about whether that was an account that was created by someone associated with BCSO?
I formed a personal opinion that it was, however, have no idea who it was.
Because I am familiar with people can create fictional or like almost mock accounts. That didn't appear to be the case with this. Is that right?
It did not appear to be that. It could have been, but it did not appear to be that.
Approximately how many years ago was it that both the ghost and the official accounts were created to your knowledge?
As I answered, I don't know. I mean, I'm going to say over 6 or 7 years. And that's a pure guess. I have no idea. It's been quite a few years.
So besides the two accounts we've just discussed, the official account and the ghost account, are there any other Bonner County Sheriff's Office social media accounts that you're aware of, whether Facebook or otherwise?
No.
So when we talk about the Bonner County Sheriff's Office Facebook account, I'm generally going to refer to the official account and not the ghost account unless I specify otherwise. Does that sound okay?
Yes.
And would you please do the same?
Certainly. Yes.
And so the term post, to my knowledge, and when I use that term, I'm generally referring to the creation of original content. So posting some information, a new sort of post that goes out with information or a photograph or whatever. And that's a post is created by the person that controls or administers that account. Is that what is your understanding of the term post?
My understanding of the term post is a individual identified addition to the Facebook page, be it a photograph, a message, a combination of both, but it would be a singular one, either one of those or a combination of those added to the Facebook page.
And I think what I'm trying to distinguish between is post and the term comment. Whereas I intend post to refer to content generated by the party who administers the account versus a comment being a response to a post. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. And is that a working definition that we can move forward with today?
Yes.
All right. And when we use the term hide, I'm intending to use that term to ask about action taken by the party that has control over the account to prevent some sort of content from being visible to the general public. What is your understanding of the term hide as it applies to social media?
I agree with your assertion of hide.
And then the term block. When I use that term, I'm generally intending to refer to action taken by the party administering the social media account to prevent a person or another social media account from having any access whatsoever to the social media account, making it invisible essentially, so that you can't, the person who's blocked cannot see or post or comment or see comments and react and posts from other people. Is that, what is your understanding of the term block?
I agree with your understanding of that term.
And the last term I'm going to ask about is called a reaction, which I understand. And when I use it, I intend to refer to a very limited ability to interact where you can react by sending an emoji, happy face, sad face, angry face, heart, those sort of very limited reactions to a post. What is your understanding of that term reaction as it applies to social media?
I agree with your assertion that you just stated.
Thank you. So coming back to the topic we left a moment ago regarding the auto hide occurring when someone is blocked, that we were discussing with respect to your conversation with your spouse. Without going into marital privilege, which certainly is not my intention, my question is with respect to your understanding as you sit here today, that when someone is blocked, using that term we just defined, what happens so for a person who's blocked, for example, from the Bonner County social media, what happens to any comments that that person who's blocked, what happens to the comments that are on the Bonner County social media?
And you're asking for my understanding as it stands today, right?
Yes.
My understanding of those comments, if they're blocked, then they're no longer visible to. My understanding would be that just they're no longer visible on either side. I don't know. I don't believe that even the person that's blocked can see them, but I'm not sure of that either. I don't. I know from the standpoint of the person that blocks, it's my understanding that um, then nobody the person that blocked them can't see it and nobody else can see it.
So any other visitors to the account page could not see past comments posted by the blocked person.
That is my understanding.
And without getting into the content of the conversation with your wife, when did the conversation with your wife occur that gave you this information?
I don't recall.
I'm going to follow up on that question and answer with a slightly more pointed question. I'm not asking you for a specific date or time when that conversation occurred, but can you give me a general estimate whether it occurred within the past year or past 5 years? Or are you literally saying you have no idea in the history of your entire lifespan when that conversation occurred?
I believe it would be somewhere between 5 and 1 year. Certainly don't think within the last year that I've learned that, and I don't believe it was past 5, but that's the best of my recollection. Not yesterday.
My understanding from the testimony of Mr. VanGesen in this case is that he took over working on the social media for the Bonner County Sheriff's Office, if I'm not mistaken, within about a year of joining the office. Does that comport with your recollection of his participation, or the timing rather of his participation?
In my recollection, that seems accurate.
And when did he join the office approximately, to your recollection?
2020 or 21.
Prior to him taking over the social media account for the Bonner County Sheriff's Office, there was an account. The account predates Mr. VanGesen's arrival. Is that correct?
Yes.
So I want to talk about that period of time prior to his arrival and his participation. Prior to Mr. VanGesen's involvement with the account, was there a official Bonner County Sheriff's Office policy with respect to how that account was administered?
No.
Why not?
I don't know.
Prior to Mr. VanGesen's involvement with the Bonner County Sheriff's Office Facebook account, were there any internal trainings offered by the office with respect to the administration of that account?
No.
Why not?
I don't know.
Prior to Mr. VanGesen's involvement with the Bonner County Sheriff's Office social media account, who administered that account?
I don't believe there was one. I don't think there was one person that administered it. I think there was a couple people that posted.
Okay, and who were those people?
Jackie Rogers, I believe, posted some. I don't recall the name of one of a prior employee. I don't recall her name that may have posted some. Beyond that, I can't recall.
In addition to Miss Rogers and the other individual whose name you can't recall today, who I understand to be a woman from your answer, were there any other individuals who had access to the account?
Since we started using it?
Yes.
Yes, there were others.
And who were those individuals?
Based on my memory, past undersheriff, the other woman that I can't recall her name, and I believe Cheryl, it was Kins, it's Cheryl Messer. Now she's changed her name, who's a administrative secretary. She has access. I have had access. Captain Tim Hemphill has had access. I believe Trace Drumright, our 911 director, has had access. I know that we provided those names in interrogatories. I can't recall if there's additional names, but off the top of my memory, those are the ones that come to mind.
So those individuals had access, but to your knowledge, the only individuals who posted were Miss Rogers and the other person whose name you can't recall. Is that correct?
Yeah, prior undersheriff, I know he had posted it at some point, and since the inception of it, and I don't know. I don't know who else has posted. I know I have not.
I neglected to nail this down. When did you become the undersheriff? What year?
I've neglected to nail that down too. Let's see. 2000, let's see, 17 or 18, I believe.
And what was the name of the undersheriff prior to you?
David Hale. I'm sorry, can I go back to the question of who had access?
Yes.
Another person came to mind, which is Colleen Reinick. I know she had access, and I do recall that she had posted on behalf of, I believe, the sheriff at different times too.
Thank you for correcting that. So for Mr. Hale, the undersheriff prior to your tenure, how long was Mr. Hale the undersheriff to your knowledge?
maybe a couple of years is my guess.
And what was your rank within the office during those years that Mr. Hale was the undersheriff?
Captain.
How many captains are there within the Bonner County Sheriff's Office at that time?
One.
In your role as captain at that time, did you have any occasion to be aware of what was going on with social media within the office?
No.
So following you becoming the undersheriff in 2017 or 18, but prior to Mr. VanGesen's arrival in 2020 or 2021, who was supervising the individuals who were I'm sorry, not who is supervising the individuals, but who is supervising the administration of the social media account for the Bonner County Sheriff's Office?
I don't know.
Who would have? Okay, you don't know.
I can answer with each individual has their own chain of command, and I can certainly answer that the responsibility would end with myself and then ultimately the sheriff. There wasn't a whole lot of social media activity prior to Mr. VanGesen, Lieutenant VanGesen, his time taking over administering the Facebook account.
So it sounds like things changed substantially when Mr. VanGesen became involved, and that things were a little bit less formal prior to that. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And if I understand correctly, ultimate responsibility for the social media account, along with basically everything else with respect to the office, responsibility ultimately lies with the sheriff. But I guess specifically with respect to this portfolio of responsibilities dealing with the social media account, it sounds like there was nobody who was really the supervisor for the social media account prior to Mr. VanGesen's arrival. Is that right?
Yes, that's accurate.
So during that same period of time, during your involvement as undersheriff prior to Mr. VanGesen's arrival, what was going on with public comments in response to Bonner County Sheriff's Office posts? Were those posts open to commenting?
Yes, I believe so.
What was the reason for allowing public comments?
I don't know.
Were comments turned off at any point?
Yes.
I mean, during the same period of time prior to Mr. VanGesen's arrival, were comments turned off?
I don't know.
So when you said yes in quick response to my original question, that was with respect to the more recent turning off of comments?
Yes.
To your knowledge, prior to Mr. VanGesen's arrival, did the Bonner County Sheriff's Office utilize the public comment aspect of the Sheriff's Office Facebook page to gather information regarding law enforcement cases or interests?
No.
Did the Bonner County Sheriff's Office use the posts to share information with the public?
Yes.
Were you aware of the public making any comments in response to those posts prior to Mr. VanGesen's arrival?
I would say I was probably aware. I really can't recall.
Did those posts, I'm sorry, did those comments in reaction to the Bonner County Sheriff posts express the sort of public support you described your office generally enjoying from the community?
It's very possible. I can't think of any individual yes or no's, but yes, it certainly is possible.
Can you think of any individual examples of criticism of the office that your office received through the comments prior to Mr. VanGesen's arrival?
No.
And then when comments were turned off during Mr. VanGesen's tenure, what was the reason for that?
There's multiple reasons, but the more we started using Facebook as a avenue to disseminate information, the more we recognized that we didn't have the staffing ability to manage the commenting portion of that. For example, we often will put up a missing or lost, endangered adult, or we'll even do with parental permission, we'll put juvenile runaway information up occasionally. And each time we put a post, to my knowledge, we have an encouragement to call our dispatch center with information if it's something that we're seeking information on. And we would learn much later that there would be something mentioned that perhaps could have been useful, but based on the fact that nobody was paying attention in a timely manner to the comments, and we didn't have a staff to support paying attention to comments, for that and other reasons, we decided that it was best to just not have comments and have the public input could come via the avenue that we addressed in the post, which would be to call our dispatch center with information if it was something we were seeking information on. We put out posts for public input on grants, for example, waterway grants, and we have a specific mechanism that we want to receive the public support or comments, and oftentimes I think that would circumvent the avenue in which that we got those comments or that information.
So in addition to the issue regarding staffing, what were the other reasons that the office turned off commenting?
It's not just staffing for those reasons. The timeliness in that, in receiving that information, I guess, based on staffing. So yes, also we had no way of controlling inappropriate comments or I don't know if our page was attacked, but I hear of many pages attacked with pornography and other types of spam-ish, for lack of better terms, information that gets placed into comments. And so for having no control over the timeliness and the content, we also developed a policy, and so if it didn't follow the policy for the Facebook posting, we had no timely mechanism to manage or monitor any of that.
All right, it is 10:03 as I have on my clock. It's been an hour. Is this an okay time to take a break?
It's good with me.
Yes?
Yes.
Great. All right, let's go off the record then.
Okay, the time is 10:03 a.m. We're off the record.
So let's take at least 10 minutes. Does that sound okay with everybody?
Yes. Mr. Pence, I believe you'll find the exhibits